What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, well, BT5 is out, right? So this is probably around about the time we should start taking a good old look at some winning BT5 decks. And there was a Discord tournament happening in Japan over the weekend, i.e. when BT5 was first legal. And do please bear in mind, we are talking a first draft here. We are talking about the beginning of the BT5 format. We are talking about the beginnings. That is very, 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 very important. But Digicat_Discord has gone and shown us the winner. And the winner was LordKnightmon. Yeah, it turns out, I know yellow is a bit of a punching bag in the Booster 1.0 format. But in the BT4 format, yellow was looking like one of the best colours, and it is coming in strong in the BT5 format as well. Please, please, please bear in mind that this could all change in the future, because it is very, very early. But this is the first tournament we've had, so let's take a little bit of a look at this winning yellow deck. And starting off straight away with Digitarmor, we're already talking about new stuff because our Digitarmor of choice here is Pikmon. That is the new one that came around in BT5. If you've got 3 or more Digimon when you are attacking, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1,000 power for the turn. Clearly this is a deck which is going to be able to get 3 or more Digimon out the majority of the time, so every time you attack you get to just lower one of your opponent's Digimon by 1,000 power. This is going to help to break power ties, might help you to delete Digimon, because obviously it's yellow, we've got some other tricks in here to lower their power down, and this is the kind of thing which is looking really very fun indeed. Now we do have the usual 4-1 split that we generally see in decks. The other one we've got here is just a single copy of Koromon that came around in BT4. When you attack, if your security is 3 or less, one of your opponent's Digimon loses 1,000 power for the turn. So you've basically got the same skill with a slightly different way of it actually coming in and being activated. It's alright. It's quite nice. It's not as good, but that's kind of the point here, right? It's your one of. So in terms of Digitarmor, we are very much looking to be lowering power here. As we move up into level 3s, we do have a new Digimon here. It's one of the ones from BT5, and it's one of the ones that I have already seen popping up in a bunch of yellow decks, and bearing in mind it's been legal for 1 weekend. Looks like Starmons might be legit, because what we've got here is a free cost to play normally, but when you play, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1,000 power for the turn for each Digimon you have in play. Now, bearing in mind, we've already seen from the Digitarmor, this is very much a deck which is aiming to get a bunch of Digimon in play, and that makes Starmons a little bit over the top silly nuts broken, because you can potentially just be deleting your opponent's rookies when you play this. If you've got 3 Digimon on the field, you play this, you can delete a 3,000 power Digimon. Now again, you could just come along and start lowering power and all of that as well, and, you know, breaking power ties, letting a smaller Digimon take out a bigger Digimon, and all of that good stuff. But frankly, ladies and gentlemen, this is one I think we need to take a little bit seriously. Now, we do also have a full 4 copies here of Salamon. Now, this is the one that originally came around in the starter deck, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's not a particularly flashy card, it's just a 2 cost to play normally. But the fact of the matter is that having a card that costs 2 to play normally means that you can get Digimon on the field a bit more easily. It means you can get more Digimon out, which you've already said is a pretty important thing here, so yeah, we like it. We also here have 4 copies of Salamon. Now, this is the one that originally came around in BT3. When you attack, one of your opponent's Digimon loses 1,000 power for the turn. Are you starting to see a little bit of a pattern yet? Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, you absolutely should be. It is lots of lowering power, which either means you are just deleting Digimon straight off, which is good, Or you're doing that thing where you are essentially lowering their power to the point where tiny Digimon can be taken out by significantly bigger Digimon. Whichever one of those two things you're looking to do, this deck is going to hook you up very, very nicely indeed. Now, we've also got Chaosmon here. When you play it, you reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add up to 2 yellow Digimon cards with Warrior or Holy Warrior in their type, and pop them into your hand, and then put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And obviously, you probably guessed when I showed you this card, we are going to actually be moving up here to be looking at some of these Holy Warrior cards as some of the bigger cards we're actually building up to in this particular deck. So clearly, this is going to be one that works very, very nicely indeed here. It makes quite a bit of sense. Now, those are your level 3s of choice. Moving up into level 4s, we've got the Digimon whose name I like saying the least. But actually here, we've got a 1 cost to Digivolve, and that's the hook, right? It's nothing, I'm afraid, particularly more exciting than that. You only pay 1 memory to evolve it. That really helps you out with your speed. We've also got ourselves another card that actually originally came around in the yellow starter deck. We have got ourselves a Unimon, because it's a blocker. Simple as that. We want to have a blocker. We want to be able to block and stop our opponent doing very much. And this will block and stop our opponent doing very much. Speaking of which, we've also got 3 copies of Pitamon here because it's a blocker. Now, it's basically exactly the same as Unimon, with one pretty important difference. It can Digivolve as a 1 cost rather than as a 2 cost. What I do find interesting is that you only play this as a 3 of rather than Unimon as a 4 of. But Unimon's got an extra 1000 power, meaning it can block more Digimon while surviving. And also, it is cheaper to play normally. So what that means is you can potentially be hard casting it sometimes for a little bit less memory. Bearing in mind this is a deck where you really want to flood your field with Digimon, take advantage of stuff like Starmon. So I can see this. I'm still more of a fan of the 1 cost to Digivolve, but it absolutely does make a lot of sense that this would happen. Now moving up into them there level 5s, we do see our first Warrior card here. Bearing in mind, we've got that lovely skill on Chaosmon here, which is going to grab it quite nicely. It is Knightmon, and when you play, one of your opponent's Digimon loses 4000 power for the turn. It is a play skill, not a Digivolution skill, which is slightly upsetting, but bearing in mind how many other options we've got for lowering power, there's going to be plenty of games where you just go, oh, well, if I drop LordKnightmon as a 7 cost, that will then give me a deletion on one of my opponent's Digimon, which is going to work really rather nicely. And then I'm going to have a level 5 sitting there ready for next turn, and it is absolutely going to be worth it. We also see Growlmon coming in here. Now, this has got Digiburst 2, so you may trash any 2 Digivolution cards. And then one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 4000 power for the turn. And at this stage, you can see quite how often I am coming along going, and then they lose this power. Now imagine all these skills are firing. Imagine you're in a game, and these skills are coming along, and they are firing turn after turn after turn after turn. This is going to overwhelm your opponent. This is going to just get rid of your opponent's board, and it's going to do one of 2 things, right? Either it is going to just delete them all so you don't have to attack them, or it's going to bring all your opponent's Digimon down to the stage where you're actually attacking and deleting them with significantly weaker Digimon than you should be able to, because you've lowered their power so much your Diddy Digimon are taking out their big powerful Digimon. It's gonna be beautiful. There is also an inheritable skill, I should say, here on Growlmon. If you've got 3 or fewer security cards, you get an extra 1000 power. It's a nice little bonus. And then we see a card which actually came around, for us at least, right back in Booster 1.0. It's a card we've had for a while. It's Sirenmon. Yeah, that's right. Sirenmon's come out to play, albeit only as a one-off. It's a 5 cost to play normally, 2 cost to Digivolve. It's cheap. And it really is as simple as that, incidentally. This is a card that is played because it's cheap. You're trying to get up to your level 6s nice and quickly. And these are some pretty nice level 6s. Including, of course, the poster child for this particular deck, the one I told you about at the beginning of the video. It's LordKnightmon. Now, LordKnightmon, when you attack, you may play a level 3 yellow Digimon or a yellow Digimon with Warrior in its type from your hand without paying its memory cost. So remember a moment ago when I told you that Knightmon was a good card and it had a really nice play skill, but it was a little bit expensive and you wouldn't always be able to play it? Well, now if you attack with LordKnightmon, you can literally play it for nothing, and you still get the skill and it's still sitting out there. LordKnightmon, of course, has Warrior in its type, so yes, you absolutely can use LordKnightmon to play another LordKnightmon, which is a bit broken. And then on both players' turns, for each Digimon you have in play, you gain 1,000 power. And that is each Digimon, not each other Digimon. So it's absolutely possible here that you've got, say, 4 Digimon in play, including this, and you're 15,000 power on your turn and your opponent's, and you're taking out whatever you want, and your opponent basically can't take you out. If you can keep some Digimon on the field, LordKnightmon gets done. Not to mention, of course, every time you attack with LordKnightmon, you are hopefully playing another Digimon for free. Incidentally, this is what helps make Chaosmon so gosh darn good here, because Chaosmon helps you get the Digimon with Warrior in their type more easily and more quickly and more reliably, so that you can then play them with LordKnightmon for free. And bearing in mind all of this, of course, we are also playing as our other level 6, Angemon. And I know Angemon's a weird one, right? It sees a bunch of play for the Digivolution skill, but it's actually a bit rubbish because it's 8,000 power, which for a level 6 is absolute trash garbage. There are level 5s that can do better. But when you Digivolve into it, you get to lower one of your opponent's Digimon by 8,000 power. That's ridiculous. And it's a Digivolve skill, not a play skill, so yep, that'll work pretty gosh darn nicely. And these two level 6s really do show the two sides of this deck. You are lowering power to try and board wipe without having to attack that much. Bearing in mind, if you attack, you risk losing your lower levels. If you can be taking out their Digimon with skills, you can basically Digivolve up into your higher levels without worrying so much about being deleted. And then you've got the whole Warrior thing where you're playing cards for free, searching them out, and being pretty gosh darned consistent. It's rather nice. But there is a level 7 we need to have a little bit of a look at here as well, because, you know, level 7s are even bigger and more powerful and more fun. And given that it's a level 7 in a yellow deck, it kind of has to be Chaosmon Valderam, because that is still the only level 7 that can Digivolve from yellow. But when you Digivolve twice, you get to choose one of your opponent's Digimon and they lose 7,000 power. So the skill is that they lose 7,000 power and you get to activate it twice on Digivolution. And obviously here, right, this just fits the theme of this deck beautifully. Because you're trying to lower power, it's just a smidge away from double Angemon. But bearing in mind, you can Angemon and then Digivolve into this, and that is minus 8,000, minus 7,000, minus 7,000. That's a 15,000 power level 7 and a 7,000 power level 5, both going down. It gets a little bit dumb, a little bit quick. When it gets deleted, you gain free memory. That's fun. It's a nice little bonus, but it is a bonus. You're playing it because it's and it is silly, right? How many different ways you've got to lower power. But given this went and won a tournament like the weekend of release at the very first opportunity, I would say this is one which is worth getting a little bit excited about. It seems pretty good. And then there's one option card here. We've got 4 copies of Blinding Light, because Blinding Light has proven to be, honestly, a little bit broken in terms of option cards. It is a 0 cost card with no security skill, and when you play it, you trash your top security card, but you gain 2 memory. Now, obviously, this is not one you can just play willy-nilly every turn. If you actually just play all 4 copies of this, you are giving up 4 of your 5 security. That gets a little bit dumb. This is a card that needs to be played very, very carefully. But when you play it very, very carefully, you end up with more memory, and you do so when you can afford to give up a security card. And you've got to be super careful. You cannot just do this every turn. It will backfire. But I tell you something for nothing, ladies and gentlemen. If you do play it right, this is going to give you that 2 memory that you need to go ahead and win the game. And that is a thing of absolute beauty. Here's a list as a whole. I am a big fan of this list. I think it's a really good deck. I think it is one that we absolutely need to keep our eyes open for. And I don't think a day 1 win is really proving it is the best deck in the BT5 meta. But it absolutely is proving that it might be, that it is the front runner. And to put it simply, if you want to tell me it's not the best deck in the BT5 meta, I am going to need some kind of evidence to the contrary. And there's a comment section if you want to show me. So go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.